let me know. But I'm gonna try to go over pretty much everything I do know about Warcraft logs, and then if I didn't go over it, there's a good chance it's because I don't know it. But let me know if there's something specific you're wondering about how I would look at something. And yeah, so let's jump into it.
Let's see that background, Cawb.
Close your Pornhub tab, please. Thank you.
Cool. So let me know if you guys actually see my screen. I should be just showing you my Warcraft logs tab here on Chrome.
Check those emails, Cawb. What I'm worried about.
Bro, Doza, I should send you a screenshot of my phone. I have
Oh
currently
God, dude!
640.
Please don't. It'll give me anxiety.
All right, cool. So some of you guys probably have a lot more experience with Warcraft logs than others, so I'm going to basically start from the basics and go from there. So in Warcraft logs, you just go to the site, and then you always want to click on Classic up here. So just switch it over to that,
Yeah,
and then
fuck
I
retail.
will type in our guild name, and it'll auto-populate the guild names. So you pick one on Netherwind, click it. So this is high level our guild as a whole, showing here. If you want to look at like attendance, I think I'd sent this to you, Zodic. You can click attendance right there, and it'll populate the attendance for the last few weeks right here, which is really nice. You can organize it by percentage, so you can see how often people have attended different raids, all the way kind of going down. See that? Have you looked at that before, Zodic?
Oh yeah. I've seen it once before, but I think I kind of forgot about it, so you reminded me. So it should definitely help make filling out the attendance sheet a lot easier.
For the most part, though, what I do when I go here is I click on calendar. So if I go to calendar, it'll show our guild calendar. I know that we typically post the actual direct link to our raid in the guild Discord, but I think that this is a really nice high level overview because I can go back to previous months to see every one of our raids. So then the raid I was going to kind of focus in on was this most recent Wednesday raid. You can see all the bosses that were killed and then where we had wipes just by hovering over it. It'll show you. So I'm going to go drill down into the Wednesday raid right here. All right. So that's how you get in to our actual log. There's also I'm going to show this. I'm going to paste this for you guys so you can save it. Let's see, message this to each one of you. I'm going to send you guys each a message with a couple resource links that you can like bookmark or save or whatever you want for reference. Since I'm going to go over a few of these tools that I utilize. Oh, sorry, I think I sent it to you twice, Landon. Message monks. And
Oh my God.
What's that?
There's so many fucking emails, dude.
What, me?
No, Zyton.
Oh. Exotic. Oh, you got it already. Gawa.
Yo, I didn't know there was a log analyzer for Classic. Sweet.
There you go. Yeah. So that's what this is all about. Just trying to find a few nuggets here and there that you guys may not be aware of. So I just sent you guys 3 links. One of them is just to the log that we're going to review. The other is a log analyzer. So you go into that log analyzer, which I can do right now. Let's do that. Okay, so from in this log analyzer, you can copy the link to our log and post it right here in the log analyzer. And then you just hit submit and it'll take a little bit to load it up. But do you guys see this? All the
Yeah,
names and
Stupa posted something like this. It was pretty cool. I liked
yeah.
how visual it was and how you can separate it by class up top and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. So like if I want to look at like patchwork, I can just click patchwork, and then I can go to each person's um, characters. So I can go like, okay, let me look at just the rogues. So I click on the rogue icon, and then I can see what were the uptimes on everybody's like slice and dice, who used certain cooldowns. And it's a really nice comparison top-down overview of that, and you can see the timelines of what people are doing. If I want to go to the healers, I can click on paladins and see, who was using, how many mana pots got used, who used runes, who didn't. So I can see Doza was the only one that used a rune on patchwork. That kind of stuff. Really nice high level overview, which is pretty sweet. And then if you want to just look at the overall, you can click on overall for the entire fight, for the entire night, or you can just look at trash. If I want to just evaluate trash, I can click on that. Or if I just want to look at bosses, I can click on encounters. So this is a high level overview of being able to see that sort of thing. So I can tell, like right off the bat, looking at trash, what we can notice is Hellsbane is doing 13 bops on trash. Calamity did 1. So that might be something where I go to Calamity and say, hey, can you help, make sure you're targeting at least somebody, whether it's a mage or a warlock or somebody to help do some more bops on trash. I can see that Hellsbane and Exotic are using Hodge quite a bit during trash, but nobody else is. And there can be reasons for these things. It's not, you have to put context around everything you see here. So there may be that Hellsbane was particularly assigned to hodging certain mob, the other paladins weren't, so it's not immediate. I don't immediately jump to conclusions. I try to figure out what was the context, where there's certain assignments that made sense. What's really cool for healers in particular is you can hover over this and it'll show what rank was being used. So I can tell this was rank 3, this was rank 4, this was rank 6. Calamity is using rank 1s as well as rank 6s. So that's a really nice thing to be able to see who's using which rank of healing. If we look at priests again, I can see how many people were dispelling and who had power infusion, who was using their inner focus on trash, who wasn't. Like Gerbil. This is an example where I could be like, hey, Gerbil, inner focus is up a lot during trash, so you may want to pop that at least for one of your prayer heals on certain packs. It could be healing up during the bats or during the shadow bolt guys or whatever. There's ways to find opportunity for stuff like that. And then, I can look at Hagen or whatever, and I can look at the rogues and say, okay, Gawa and Raymond, they use nature protection pots on the fight. So did Sahaya, and be able to see that kind of stuff. So I do enjoy like the high level overview you can do. It's very visual, like you were talking about, Doza. So this is the analyzer. And then the other thing that I sent you guys was the debuff tracker. Okay, so the debuff tracker is this. And so it's pretty basic. You just grab your link for the log file and you go to the debuffs that were knocked off and you type in, paste it, and process. And what it's going to do is it's going to show you for every single fight which debuffs got knocked off and by what. Because as you guys know, you can only have 16 debuffs on a boss. So early on, when like we had the Thunder Fury new to the raid, and we had like warlocks using corruption a lot, and we had serpent stings, and we had Air Knight putting up 3 debuffs as a Shadow Priest, all of this was fucking full of like things like ignites being knocked off and like all kinds of shit was constantly being knocked off. But you can tell here that really only on Heigen was stuff getting knocked off, where we were going over the limit. And it was only because when Heigen moves onto the platform, it's no longer being hit by melee. So you're going to see like Air Knight and Gerbil and other people put things like Serpent Sting and Shadow Word Pain up. So it makes sense that these things were being knocked off. So there's no issue. So we're actually doing really good as far as our debuff. Analyzing this, it shows that we're doing a really good job with our debuffs now. This took a while. It took us a few weeks to get to this be as clean as it is now. you can look at like debuffs that are being applied here, paste the same report, and you can see, you know, what's being applied. And this is just a running list of the entire dungeon, like every boss, the whole raid night. So it's not, to me, it's not super useful. I don't really utilize this very much.
Is that just bosses or is that trash too?
It's just bosses.
Okay.
Yeah, this is all just bosses. I don't really spend much time on this. Buffs knocked off is another one you can look at. So this one's interesting because on the buff limit, it's really only applicable for the most part to tanks. You have 32 buff slots, and a lot of the buffs are eaten up by things you don't notice that are hidden. Things like, you know, all kinds of stuff can be hidden
Like
buffs.
find herbs and shit like that? Or
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
what?
There's a website that lists out all the hidden buffs and stuff. But when you're a tank, it's kind of important to have like an add-on that automatically blacklists certain hots and things like that, because you don't want this stuff to happen. So you can see on Patchwork, Tank Dave actually lost his ZG buff 20 seconds into, or 20 seconds into the fight. His ZG buff got knocked off, and so that told me and Muteki, hey, we need to talk to Tank Dave about getting that add-on, because you don't want to be losing your world buffs, especially early on in the night like that. So that was all I do on this. So that's the analyzer on the debuffs. That's the analyzer on the log, and so here, going back to the actual main log file, I'm going to go through a couple things, the rankings and the statistics main page. So we're going to go back to the main rocket surgery page here. And so if I go to the calendar and I choose our raid, I can go to, let me find the main page here and show you guys the rankings. So if we go to just, here we go. Okay, so you go to warcraftlogs.com or whatever, classic.warcraftlogs.com. And so what I'll do is I'll take a look over here at rankings and statistics. You guys see that over here?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
In Nax, yeah. So like if you go to rankings, this is kind of useful for me, and I think it's interesting. So like let's say Raymond's like, hey, I want to take a look at like what are like the top DPS parsing rogues doing in certain fights, or what are they wearing, or what's their rotation like, or whatever. You're trying to get information outside of rocket surgery. This is how to do it. So you'll say, okay, if I'm Raymond, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to probably pick, I only want to compare to people in the United States. I want to grab rogues, and I want to just look at Alliance because there's no Wind Fury Totem for us, and we have pally buffs. So trying to make it, I try to like compare to like situations. And then item level, you can leave it alone, or you can drill down, even filter it more by, you know, ranges of item levels if you want. And then you can choose either phase 6 with world buffs or phase 6 without world buffs. So we just leave it on with world buffs. We just do that. And then don't mess with this filter up here. And so now I can see who are the top DPSing rogues for the entire raid, or I can just pick a particular boss. So I'm like, all right, I want to pick Patchwork. So you pick Patchwork, and now these are the top DPS rogues in the entire United States for Patchwork of all time, for all of Classic. And so I'll be like, okay, so this is the highest DPS that any rogue has ever done single target on Patchwork, is 1.7k. So then you can see what world buffs did they have on the right. You can see they had War Chief's Blessing, and this is Alliance, so they went and they got that. They had Songflower, they had Dark Moon Fair, so they were completely buffed to the tits all the way up. What trinkets were they using? Okay, they had the Phylactery trinket and they had DFT equipped. Now, to give context to this, you always have to look at the duration of the fights. So our fight duration is typically on Patchwork somewhere around 3 minutes. So this is clearly a very sweaty guild that's able to do it in sub 2 minutes, which the less duration there is on the fight, the higher your DPS numbers are going to be. Because everybody spikes their DPS early because they're blowing cooldowns typically in their openers, and then their DPS ramps down the longer the fight goes. So, you take a look at that, and if I say, okay, I want to really kind of take a look deeper at that character and see what else is going on here, I can click that little drop down menu and see exactly what gear was this player wearing on the fight. That's one way to do it. Another way is like I want to look at his guild. I can click his name. It'll open up and I can see he's right at the top, but I can also tell like he's not just the only one 99 parsing, like a whole bunch of these sweaty people are getting 99s. They're just crushing it. And you can also see they're super top heavy. Tons of rogues and warriors and mages, very few warlocks and hunters, and they probably have very little minimal healers as well. And the healers are probably also pumping out a little bit of damage to increase their kill time. So then I can click on his name to drill down further and I can see what is it that he was specifically doing. So I could say, well, what's his crit like? Well, his white hits, the melee, he got 42% crit on just his normal auto attacks. Now, what about his backstabs? Well, holy shit, that explains it. He had 22 backstabs and 22 crit, 100% crit, which is incredible RNG. So that explains a lot as to how he was that high, and he was number one in the world. He never missed with a crit. Every hit was a crit on that. He had 2 eviscerates, and of the 2, one of them crit.
It's the summon skeleton.
That's the Ani Onyxia offhand. If you're a super sweaty rogue, you'll use the Ani offhand to summon the skeleton in the beginning of the fight, and then you'll swap your dagger on. So this skeleton does a tiny amount of damage. It's 3k damage, and then he does dense dynamite and a sapper on patchwork.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Super sweaty.
Very. And then you can click on summary, which I love, because if you click summary on any character that you have selected, you can see exactly the gear that they're wearing and whether it's enchanted and what is it enchanted with. So you can see, you can hover over and see he's actually enchanted with attack speed, which is pretty wild because that is not the meta for rogues. So he's not even using the ZG idols, he's using the haste enchant. And so you can kind of look at that kind of stuff there. So yeah, I just wanted you guys to see how to look at overall rankings. So that's on the DPS side. If I want to look at healers, like what's like a fun like competitive healing fight?
What would you say, Zai? I'd almost say patchwork at the same time, dude.
Saffron even.
Or Saf, yeah.
Saffron's probably, yeah.
You're gonna see
Yeah,
Priest
Saffron.
just dominate that. So if I go to Saffron, all I did was I chose Saffron, and then I go to from damage, I choose healing. And now if you're a paladin, you want to like really zone in. You could be like, oh, I want to only look at healing to tanks as my comparison.
Gotcha.
But overall healing is going to be typically what you look at. You're going to notice here we go that, and then I have to change from rogues. I'm going to do all classes. I want to see who's dominating from a class point of view on Saffron. Well, big surprise, it's a whole bunch of fucking priests. All of the top 100 healers are all priests. So I click next and I can keep going. Finally, number 106 is a druid. But this is all just heavily dominated by priests. If I kept going, eventually you'll see paladins and other druids. So it's a whole bunch of priests healing. And
All
you
in
can
8-piece tier 2.
Yeah, you could see at a glance what trinkets are they using. Warmth of Forgiveness, Rejuvenating Gem. How long were our first kill was 7 minutes. Now look at the kill durations here: 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Our last kill was 5 minutes, which was great. We improved by 2 minutes, but you can tell it's obviously a pretty big difference still. And so like let's look at the second one, Harry the Cat. So we go in here, you can see kind of how much healing. I look at like how many healers did they have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. They had 14 people healing. Okay, we typically have somewhere between 14 to 16 because we have Stork and Pez and that helping.
4 Resto Druids.
Right. So you can see like this guy is killing everyone else, but the reason that a lot of these guys are lower is because he's either sniping or he's got an assignment that's more favorable to his location. So it's hurting the rest of them that he is that top heavy on the healing. But
Yeah,
you
look
can
at the
also see
overheal.
his overheal is almost nothing. So
Wow.
you can click on him and be like, all right, what is he actually using? You can see, okay, greater heal is his actual heal. This greater heal is the hot that comes from the greater heal. And then this is another rank of greater heal. And then prayer healing, and that's kind of it. So you can go on the summary page and again take a look and see, was he
Did
wearing
it
8
show what
piece?
rank
Yeah.
it was? I couldn't see on there.
It doesn't show directly in
Oh, okay.
Warcraft logs what rank. You have to look at what the average hit is and kind of
Okay.
estimate from there, which is what the analyzer does.
That's a rank 1.
I was gonna say it's a rank
Yeah,
1.
he uses a lot of rank 1, and then the third one down is his rank 4.
So that is the deal on how I look at overall rankings. So I'm going to back out and I'm going to show you guys statistics.
Is there in Warcraft like logs like that? Is there like a time? Is what like from the beginning of the fight showing what time they casted at each, or is that in a later part of what you were gonna talk about?
Yeah, I'll go into into
Okay.
that, but like if we just use that quick example of this guy, so like, you know, if I'm looking at him, I can say, okay, I can look at the timeline and I can see a timeline of what did he do. Well, he opened up with, you know, you could see he's got renews ticking, who's it ticking on, at what seconds, how many seconds in, and then you can just see a timeline of things like
Okay.
that. Or I don't actually like this view. I like this
Mhm.
view. If I go to events, instead of timelines, I click event and it'll actually have an event history from the moment it begins and shows exactly what he did and when, from the start of the fight to the end of the fight. Shows
So I
everything
take
he
it the
did.
O means that it's the overhealing.
Overheal. Yeah.
Okay.
If you see O, it always means either overheal or overkill.
Okay.
If you're looking at the death log and you see O, it means how much was the overkill. Okay. Going back to statistics here. Let me just go back to it. All right, so statistics. That was rankings on the main page. If you go to statistics, this is also something that's interesting that you guys can take a look at. This is going to be totally different in the Burning Crusade. So this is showing what does the the variance look like for damage against all the bosses of Nax. But I don't want to look at all bosses. I want to look at like the primo single target, no RNG involved patchwork. Because what I mean by that, when you guys compare, you have to have context. So patchwork is a pure fight. There's no RNG involved. But if you were to look at like Gluth or Grobulus or stuff where there's mechanics where all of a sudden you might have gotten picked on Grobulus for poison 3 times. So of course your damage was low or your healing was shitty because you were running away from the fight, having to drop your poison off. So just always think about the context when you're doing comparisons. So, okay, patchwork, DPS. I want to look at all DPS for patchwork, and then I can, down here, there's additional things. So I can do all percentiles, or I can do change the range of the last 2 weeks, which makes sense. Leave the standings and the phase. So if I want to just look at everything as a whole, you can tell, which is clear, we all know this, warriors, rogues, and mages dominate. And at the very bottom is balanced druids, which is why you never see balanced druids or really shadow priests ever really in raids. I mean, ret pallies are doing better than these guys. So now if I want to drill down to like, who's the best, what does it look like if I go to like the best of the best, the 99th percentile? It'll break it down even more and it'll show your the DPS breakdown for the highest DPS. So we go back to all back down here, it's kind of the same thing. If you want to look at like healing for it, you can change from damage. You can go to healing, not HPS, but actual healing. And of course, we've got shamans in here because I haven't filtered by just alliance. So in here, you can see what it looks like for patchwork, which is accurate. This is what we see in our raids too. Paladins typically can beat out and should be, for the most part, very competitive, if not better than our priests on patchwork. But then if we switch it to Saffron, all of a sudden you'll see the priests are crushing it.
So the range there would be like the 50th percentile log up to the 99th percentile log, and then the dot is your 100% parser. Is that what it is?
Or your outlier or something like that.
So you can see here, like the maximum is 855, which is right here. Maximum 855, and then your median is 611, which is right in the middle, and then your lower is down here at 505. The minimum is 389. So it's showing for the whole all percentile what it looks like. If I switch to like the 99th percentile and hover over it, you can see like the average HPS for priest in the 99th percentile is 973. But if I go back again here,
What are
you
those
can
dots
see
up
the
at the
min.
right?
These guys?
Yeah. Is that like something of the statistic right there? Or is it just, yeah, what's that?
So the 973 is like, what is the total max anyone's ever done?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the rankings and statistics. That's basically what I look at there for healing and damage. If you're just kind of wondering, how is my class as a whole doing against other classes, and not just look in the bubble of rocket surgery, but everyone as a whole.
Do you
Outside
use
of the
that a
guild.
lot still, or is that just kind of something you started out with?
I used these rankings and statistics stuff more when I was in retail.
Okay.
Not so much in classic, because in
You already know.
retail, the thing in retail was that every patch, this stuff would change because they were
Oh.
constantly hot fixing and balancing classes and trying to like buff one class. That was like, if this was retail and this is what they saw for like, where is it, damage? You know that the very next patch that came out, all of a sudden balance druids would get a massive buff and the rogues would get a huge fucking nerf, and it would flip this, because in retail they always try to homogenize the classes to be very similar, so that whether you were one class or another, you were always competitive. But in vanilla classic, that was never the case. It was like you knew who could pump and who couldn't. You didn't, it didn't matter what your gear was as much as what your class was.
I think there's still value here, though, in saying, like, look, we are consistently performing 90th percentile, but our rogues are parsing below our fire mages for some reason. Let's take a look at why.
Right.
Because that's not what we should be seeing statistically.
I see. That's a good point.
Okay, so now let's get into our logs. Search, and then calendar, and here we go. Okay, so one thing that's nice about this view right here, the very first view you get when you look at the logs, is you can look at our trash and then our bosses. So if I want to look at how we're performing just on trash, I'll click trash fights right here. And so when I click on it, everything I view is purely our trash DPS, our trash healing. That's it. That's all I'm seeing here. Is if I go to damage done for the night, I can see that Super Fury is by far the biggest contributor against trash. And I know that to be a fact because he takes pride in being the overall top damage for the night. And if you want to do that, you need to focus on trash damage. So he contributed 1.4 million damage for the entire night just on trash. And then I can see the flip side is who's doing the least amount of damage. Well, it's Kinderfeld. But Kinderfeld was only there for 2 bosses, so he gets thrown out. So then the next person is Darken One. He's not doing nearly, I mean, he's doing literally 412K compared to 1.4 million. So he is a third the contribution in terms of damage on trash, but it makes sense because he's a warlock. How much warlocks can do AoE wise, like it's only so much that he can do. He's spamming Shadow Bolt on most of the trash. If you look at Catalyst, the question is, why is Catalyst doing so much more damage than the other two warlocks on trash? And without even looking, I can imagine it's because Catalyst is using some cheese tactics like either Hellfire spam or he's using sappers, stuff like that, that the other warlocks are not. So if I hover over it right there, you can see he's doing Shadow Bolt, corruption, spreading corruption out on trash, and he's using Hellfire and Rain of Fire. The Hellfire and the Rain of Fire make the big difference there. As a warlock, you can see that, Darken One doesn't even look like he touched Hellfire the entire night.
He's also 30% active too, so it looks like he wasn't even touching. He was doing a lot of single targeting then, obviously.
Yeah. So if you look at active, if I click this column, it'll sort by activity. Clearly, our tanks are going to be and should always be towards the top on active. So active is when combat has engaged. Are you using abilities? That's what that means. Are you doing anything? Are you attacking at all, or are you just sitting back during combat AFK and not doing anything? So the reason that it shows me techie at 74% as opposed to 100% is because there's plenty of times where we're in combat, but the ads are being pulled to us. And so when the ad is still on its way to us, it eats up a few seconds. You add those seconds up over the course of an entire night, about 25% of the time, we're all in combat, but no one's actually hitting anything. Okay, so you can see Super Fury, Nide, Tank Dave, Monks. These are the guys that are all towards the top doing a lot of damage on trash. And then it correlates usually with active time. So it's like you said, Doza, like if you go down here, why is the damage so low? Well, a big part of it is that their activity numbers are low. They're just not doing as much during the trash. So it may be a situation where I'm like, hey, Rhaeira, I'm noticing, you really weren't doing a lot. Your activity number was really low during trash. I think
How
on
was the
heal,
lowest DPS? I did 115 damage in the entire raid, dude. That's actually really fucking funny.
it was on a plague slime. You meleeed it probably once.
This one was actually super.
You're doing good work.
Fucking pacifist, dude. Let's go.
This will become a huge one for TBC too, because this is the exact thing we used to look at for Muru with the ads, because you didn't have time to wait on a tank to get aggro, and it was basically your active versus your and how much DPS you could push out. So we actually started looking at the active percentages and found out it was a tank problem, not a DPS problem.
And so I can take a look here at healing on trash. Again, we're just looking at trash healing. Who was doing a lot of the healing on trash? Well, Calamity's doing quite a bit of the healing on it, and you can see the active time. And you can kind of go down and see Gerbil's not doing hardly any healing, really half the healing or a third of the healing. And the active time reflects that 21% compared to other people that are way up on activity. And so this is a reflection of either being AFK or maybe for like, it could be, hey, I had to go AFK for like 20 minutes. And if you do for 20 minutes, it totally biases these charts. But if you're going out for smoke breaks or whatever's going on, or you're sitting there wanding, boss, wanding trash, this is what happens, and it gets reflected here. And so that's when all of a sudden you get a message from Cawb the next day. So that's what's going on the healing on trash. And I obviously take a look at overhealing and make sure that nobody's just like way over, but as long as it's within a decent variance of one another, it's all good. So that's the activity stuff. All right, so we're gonna go back to I talked about yeah. So we're gonna go to trash and bosses, right? So I showed you guys how to do trash. Then you can do individual bosses, which is pretty clear. You just click them. Or if, which is really nice, if you want to look at all the bosses together in the aggregate, you click this where it says all kills, all 10. We killed 10 bosses. You're just going to click that button. And this will show you damage and healing, all the log information for all of the bosses combined. So that can be useful for various reasons. You may be wanting to look at one thing or another. You just want to look at like overall damage to bosses. So I can click on damage done. Who did the most damage to all the bosses combined? Super Fury, Cawb, Rhaenyra. You work your way down and see. And again, context is huge because you can't just say like, oh, well, Super Fury and Cawb are doing a great job. It may just mean that we had good RNG where like Thaddeus was not facing me for a lot of the time. So I got a lot of backstabs off, but it wasn't, maybe Thaddeus wasn't facing Gawa or was facing Gawa a lot, so he couldn't backstab. So it's like you have to have context on a lot of this, especially when you look at the all kills aspect of it. But you could take a look and see kind of if there's trends. What should I expect? I should expect that the warlocks are at the bottom, and they are. So that's fine. So this sort of matches somewhat what you expect when you looked at the rankings as a whole earlier in that other screen. It kind of matches where you've got mages and warriors and rogues towards the top. So that is taking a look at the all kills side of things. And then what else on my list here? Trash first bosses. Okay. So this is one of the things that I want to make sure that I'm clear about is if you look at like, what's a good example where we, let's see. Let's say I need to find a fight where we lost some people. Here we go. 4 horsemen. We always have deaths on that. All right. So I drill down into 4 horsemen, right? And let's say I want to look, I'm curious about who is doing healing on 4 horsemen. So I take a look at the healing. And I can see the breakdown from Wednesday. Radgan crushing it with Aeronite and Dadgoth and Zodic up there. And then towards the bottom, we've got Gilgamesh, Aloror, Winrick, Druids, and everything. So then I ask myself, well, that's weird, right? Like, why are these folks so low on the healing? How do I explain that? So the first instinct, and what I always do is I go to the deaths. And I ask myself, like, all right, who died? Well, boom, right there. That answers that question immediately. Gilgamesh died early in the fight, 47 seconds into the fight. He was dead. So that explains why he's at the bottom of the healing. So then I keep going and I take a look at the deaths, right? And I say, okay, well, Aloror died 257 in, and then he died again at 726, and Winrick died at 741. So that may have a lot to do with why the overall healing was what it was. Okay. So then what do you do if you want to just look at the time where things were going well before shit hit the fan, right? Well, how you do that is right here where it says ignore events after a certain number of player deaths. So I can pick whatever number of deaths I want. So, it depends on the fight. So for 40 people, what is considered a wipe? Well, it kind of depends on the fight. Saffron, we can have 10 people dead and still kill it. But for Patchwork, you have 10 people dead. It's unlikely you're killing it. So it depends on the fight. But on this fight, let's say I want to say, okay, I want to ignore everything after 5 people are dead. I type in the number 5 and I have to hit enter on my computer. As soon as I hit enter, it all refreshes, okay? And now all of a sudden, all the healing numbers, all the damage numbers, if I click damage, it still keeps the 5 in there. So now all of this is reflective of what happened before 5 people had died. So you can see here it cuts off at the 4-minute and 37-second mark, because at that point we already had 5 people dead. That was when the 5th person had died. So it doesn't count anything afterwards. So I find that to be extremely useful to tell the story of what happened during the fight. So I could see early on, Radgan is smoking the meters up, and Dadgoth and Air Knight, everyone's smoking meters right here, killing it. Winrick is doing great, but Alor and Gilgamesh had fallen off because they had already died by that point. If I ignore everything after, I guess, one, hit enter on one, now all of a sudden Winrick shoots up, right? And so it's one of those things where I really, if you want to reset it, you just delete it and hit enter again, and it'll clear it out for you, and it'll go back to the overall fight, which, oh my God, was 10 minutes and 46 seconds long. So that works really nicely on a lot of those fights. If I go like damage done, I can see like I did 221 DPS, 143k damage at the top. But if I get rid of like ignoring events after 5 people die, all of a sudden I'm not number 1. I'm down here. So, if I look at the deaths, you can take a look and see who died, when they died, and that sort of thing. So I wanted to just make sure I highlighted this ignore events after a certain number of deaths because it gives really good context of fights. All right. I told you guys already how to check what people were wearing. So this is something I do on Saffron. So I can, I guess I can't do it on this, but like, whatever. You guys already saw it. Like if I want to look at what was I wearing on Saffron or whatever boss, I just click summary and I can see it. So that's it on that. Checking dispels and interrupts. Okay. So what's a fight where there's a lot of dispelling or interrupting?
Noth.
Heigen? Okay. So we go to Heigen. So if I go to Heigen and then I want to check who's dispelling, I click on dispels. And right here, Ragan did 20, Gerbil did 19. It's just super easy. But what's also nice to see is how many got dispelled. 75%, almost 76%, which means we missed 24%. What this means is that the disease landed on these players and was never dispelled for the entire duration of the disease. It just ticked on them the entire time.
Well, those people are usually teleported when that happens.
Possibly.
Not that time.
There's a lot of people. I mean, there's not this many people that got teleported.
Nobody loves Elgato.
And sometimes they are out of range.
Oh, is it counting pets too? Because I'm not dispelling pets.
It does. Not only does it do pets, also on Saffron, pets can get cursed.
One note here, though, look at the fight duration. Like, it looks like the fight was over and they just let him tick off.
Yeah, this is 2:48. That's a good point. Again, context. This fight lasted 2 minutes 48 seconds. So a lot of this stuff was at the very end, so there was no reason to really cleanse it. Or combat ended and they did get cleansed. And if combat ended and you guys cleansed after the fight, all this shit, it doesn't get counted.
Oh, okay.
Because Warcraft logs only picks up things that occur during combat.
There's a way to see like halfway through the fight, like cut out the back end.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to cut out the back end, you just grab this timeline right here and you go like this. You just hover over how much you want up until right about here. You can just grab like that amount, whatever you want to do. But again, these are items that Warcraft log detected were applied, but did not detect them being cleansed. And the reason why is because of what Zuni said. They probably got cleansed once combat ended. But to answer your question, Reagan, that's how you do it, is you just grab a section of the timeline that you want and let go, and it expands into it. So this is, interesting. Miteki did not get cleansed on that, but it's possible he died. I don't know if you click on deaths. Did he die? Yeah, he
Yep.
died. So there you go. He died.
From the fever.
He died at 123. So that's how I check on dispels, and then on another fight like Noth is another good one. You can see the mages were perfect on dispels. They dispelled everything, and you can see who was dispelling, who wasn't. So they all evenly were, for the most part, dispelling, which is great. Cripple, how many people got dispelled, how many didn't. Elgato, cat. I guess, yeah, you guys are definitely not
It's all
dispelling the
100
pets. Yeah.
I don't even show pet bars, honestly.
Same.
The hunters are
Like, I
well
don't
aware.
care.
They get no
We
love.
bring 60 fucking quill every
You
night.
can mend pet. You got it.
So then we go to interrupts. What's a good fight for interrupt?
Trash or something like that on Faralina.
Gothic. Gothic. Yeah, so whatever. I mean, Gothic. You know, I kicked one drain life, and Brandon counterspelled and shield bashed a couple shadow ball volleys. So it's very simple. Same thing as dispels. So these are really nice. This is stuff that is very useful. These two categories.
What about buffs?
Let's take a look. So next on my list is going over debuffs and uptimes. So on the boss debuffs and uptimes, Lotheb is a great example. So if we go to Lotheb, what we're going to be looking for is, assuming we're on Lotheb, right? We're going to click on the enemy debuffs. So we're going to go to debuffs, and if all I do is I click debuffs, it's just going to show debuffs that are applied to us. That's not what we want. What I want to know is what were the debuffs that were being applied to the boss, and how long were those debuffs up? Because it's like our warlock's jobs and the hunter's jobs, and everybody has a role to play to get certain debuffs up. So I need to click enemies right here. So you can leave this alone. What you want to do is click the word enemies right here. You click enemies, and now this is showing the debuffs being applied to Lotheb. So this is all the debuffs that we used on Lotheb, and it shows what their uptimes were. So I always kind of get on the warlocks about it on this fight. So I look at Curse of Recklessness. How much was it up? There were some gaps. You can see the gaps, but it got reapplied eventually. Curse of Elements was pretty low. Curse of Shadow was kind of low. So these are examples where it's like, all right, like Curse of Shadow, I got to figure out who was applying Curse of Shadow. So I drill down and I look and I can read it right there. It says Catalyst. So clearly Catalyst was the one assigned to doing it. So maybe I hit him up and I'm like, hey man, just make sure you keep, get your weak aura or something to set up. So then I can go to Curse of Elements. Who was doing that? All right, it's Darken One. You can read right there that says it was being applied by Darken One. So then naturally Curse of Wreck is Crazy Zig. So that's how you figure that part out. Now another thing is Fairy Fire. Like, was it really low? How was it good? Was it good? Demo Shout, was that up most of the time? You can see Hunter's Mark fell off for a little bit of time here and wasn't reapplied. But anything usually on the uptimes that's over 90% is pretty good. You of course want to get it as close to 99 as you can, but very rarely am I going to message anybody about something if it's under over 90. But one thing I will look at is like, okay, drain life, what was happening there? Who's draining life? Which can be a concern because you could potentially be knocking off a more important debuff if you're using something like that. I almost always know it's Catalyst. Yeah, you can see it was Catalyst. That's draining life. But, in a fight like that, if it's knock off a debuff or die, you're probably going to knock off a debuff to keep yourself alive on Lotheb. So that's the checking of debuffs and the uptimes, how to do that. Any questions on that part?
I didn't even know you could click on that. That's awesome.
Yeah, checking patchwork debuffs. How long were these things on? Was there any egregious mistakes? This was really cool to notice on patchwork. Do any of you guys know what fumble is?
No.
No.
So it's the bag of marbles, that one-time quest that you can do at Elwyn
wow.
Forest.
Wow.
So I was
Did
like,
you do that or did Dory?
I
neither.
still have
Find
that,
out.
yeah.
Click on it.
So how do you
I
know?
was a questioner.
So you,
Super.
so you click on it, drill down, and you hover over, and it's Supa. He did it.
Nice.
He did it right there. He did
Sweaty.
it right there. He did it right there. And then over here, he did it again.
So he wasted
Smelled
it.
the sweat.
Now, if I click on it even more, I can see that Sahaya actually did it once as well, right there. So the bag of marbles has 10 charges, so he used 4 of his 10 charges to help us get patchwork down, which is great. I mean, that reduces the chance to hit, I think, by 25% for 10 seconds. So that is little things that you can discover when you drill down into this kind of stuff. I can also always check for like Gift of Arthas. If I don't see it, it means that the tanks forgot to apply it onto their as part of their buff. So I can hit them up about that kind of stuff. So that's how the debuffs work. Next thing, checking. Okay, so this one's a big one. A big topic is checking deaths. So figuring out kind of the post-mortem on what happened to people, how they died. I guess a good example, I gotta go back to friendlies and we gotta go to like, let's see.
I died on
Hagen.
4 horsemen. You can do that one.
We can do Hagen. So like on Hagen, you click on the deaths to see what was going on, right? Who died? How many people? Oh my God, we lost all these people on Hagen, which means they lost, if they had world buffs, they would have lost them. Potentially. So you take a look and see kind of what was going on here. So Catalyst died to melee, but that doesn't really make sense, right? Because he was not fighting the boss. There's no way he pulled aggro off Mteki. But if you hover over it, you can see that it's rotting maggots and diseased maggots that were meleeing him. So you know that was actually him being teleported and getting killed in the tunnel because he got too close to the maggots. So you can click on his name and then drill down even further and see the actual death log of what happened. So he got teleported in 24 seconds in, and he was getting hit by an eye stalk. He used his shadow ward. Then Mind Flay from the eye stalk. Shadow ward was helping him. Eye stalk again. He got a death. He was getting no heals in there, probably because he got no healer in there with him. So he death coiled to heal himself up a little bit. But ultimately the maggot hit him, and I think because the maggots are so small, people either don't notice them or they underestimate them. Those maggots fucking hurt. They crit him for 2.1 and then crit him again for 2k with a tiny overkill of 163. That's what you were talking about earlier, Doza, with the O.
Gotcha. And the A's absorbed from the shadow.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
I get teleported. I just know I'm gonna die. That's just how it goes.
You just wait for a group, dude, and just rolls a squad.
I
Yeah,
just want to say I have no idea how to do the maggot area.
I have no
I
idea
just
what's
stand
happening in
still and
there.
wait for 3 other people. And we go.
I tried running it down middle once and it did not work. I don't know what to do.
Running the gauntlet, dude.
I can hear Rob's brain melting.
The solution is that we fucking one phase hike and no one has to worry about it. But that way, when you get teleported in there, you don't move; you just stay still. But
You just need all that free
if we don't one phase it, then it fills up with poison gas and you're gonna die anyways. So you might as well take the risk and go out. You're supposed to kill the eye stalks slowly as a group. Just move out by killing the eye stalks and avoiding the maggots that are on the ground, and that's it. But it's a little bit of a dance that you got to maneuver around. The eye stalks are really weak. They don't take much to kill, but it also depends. Like I've seen us get 3 healers teleported, which is total bullshit, and it fucks you guys. So I understand it's not always easy to get out of there. And a warlock doesn't have very good burst. If you've got a melee with you and they're doing their job right, they should be clearing the path easily for you by killing the eye stalks. Anyway, so you can see on the death log, Oyen dies to the Mind Flace. She got teleported and killed. You can see again here, Miteki died. Now, this is an interesting one because it's like, well, normally a tank's not dying on this fight. So how did he die? What happened, right? So you're going to drill down into it and you're going to see what happened. So over the course of less than 3 seconds, he was dead. So what the fuck is happening here, right? So it's like, all right, Gilgamesh hits him with a heal and it overheals him. So you know that he was at full life at the 2.4 second mark, he was at full life. And then he gets meleeed for 2.1, which should be no issue. And then he's getting heals. He's got his, you click this button to see the additional healing. So he healed himself with Bloodthirst, and he got a flash of light from Calamity, and that's it. And then he had the dot tick on him here, but he took a massive hit of it. Right here, he takes a huge hit, which is actually a crit. You can see the asterisks there. He took a crit. It hit him for 3.5k, and it overkilled him for 324. So he was just, at this point in the fight, he didn't have any world buffs, and he essentially, just went bop, bop, just got taken down by a 2.1k hit. And then here he took a 3.5k, which dropped him all the way down. He died. It was essentially a 2-shot on our tank. And
So
there's nothing the healers could really have done other than maybe, it's all hindsight 2020, throwing a shield on them or whatever. But it's just, for the most part, tanks are trying to avoid getting crit so that doesn't happen. And warriors can, for the most part, do it with the shield block.
Is that showing his buffs that he had at the time? Is that all of his buffs he
Right.
had?
So it's showing things that he used during the
No,
fight.
to the right.
To the right, yeah, it's showing the
Up,
buffs
up,
he had
and to
back
the
there.
right.
Oh,
Up,
over
up,
here?
yeah.
So like he didn't have 4 on.
If we
That'd be
want to look
accurate.
at if we want to try to look at what he had active, you can go to buffs and then go to have select Muteki. So here, Muteki is now selected, and I have buff selected. So you can see what he had going during the fight here. But you have to keep in mind, like I said before, Warcraft Logs is only going to capture something that was applied or faded from your character during combat.
So he
Okay.
added, but it was just reapplied before. So I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're like, for example, all your pally buffs are not showing up here because they were applied before the fight and they didn't fade during the fight.
Gotcha. Well, when he dies, does that count as a fade?
I don't think so, but
Can
I don't.
we go back to that other view? I just
Sure.
wanted to have you click.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah. So the little arrow to the right, I wonder if that expands that.
This is replay stuff I'm going to get into. That's
okay,
a different thing. So yeah, so that's the death log stuff that I typically will look at. Let me go back to what's another fight you guys want to look at deaths on that you're curious about? Thaddeus?
Sure.
Yeah.
The polarity.
Ooh.
So we go to Thaddeus and we look at the deaths. Who died early? Okay. So Questioner died really early, Raymond, Moralt, and Warrant. So you can tell, you kind of look at what happened here. So Questioner died before Thaddeus was even engaged. He died to Fugan. So you just hover over it and it tells you Fugan fucking crushed him, hit him with a crushing blow for over 6,000. And so he got rocked, essentially a one-shot on that. And then Thaddeus fight down here, you can look and see, okay, Raymond died. What happened? So we click on it, I'll hover over it actually, and you can see right there that there was a positive charge from Cawb, a positive charge from Dadgoth, and a positive charge from Raymond, or from Gilgamesh. And so on that fight, the question really becomes, who fucked up? Was it Raymond on the wrong side, or was it other people on the wrong side? Because it was 3 people that hit Raymond, that means it was Raymond that was on the wrong side.
Yeah, I
And
was
so-
slow. I was slow. I remember that death. I was slow as fuck. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I brain farted.
You could also
So,
look at
yeah.
the replay to validate.
Yeah.
The replay, but
Yeah, that'll be the end. That's my big finish. I'll go over replays. But here on Moralt, same thing. Moralt was on the wrong side. So Muteki friendly fire, Zythan friendly fire, Catalyst friendly fire, and he was dead. So you can see it there. And then Warrant died from being on. He was actually, what's interesting with Warrant is it's not. He didn't. I don't know if he was really on the wrong side. I think he took damage from Moralt being on the wrong side, because you can see right there, Maralt hit him, and then Belly hit him, and then Thaddeus hit him with a chain lightning. It was the chain lightning that really did him in, but we may not know for sure if Warren was on the wrong side without looking at the replay. So we'll take a look at that. So that is kind of how I look through the deaths. And then another thing you can take a look at is, I think we got quite a few healers in here, so I want to go through the healing real quick. So if we look at like Radgin's healing, okay, so I want to drill down on Thaddeus Radgin healing. So I can see, all right, what was Radgin doing? Radgin was, if I hover over this, again, an extra window there that shows me how many, like what were his maximum
Hey boys, I
heal,
have to
what is the
crash. Thank you,
average?
Cawb.
Yeah, you got it, man.
Later, Gawa.
Later.
You'll see his crit, and so over here on the right, I could see his average cast was 1.3k on his flash heal. How many times did he do it? He did 44 flash heals with an average of 1.3k, and then his crit uptime, his crit of those was 11%, with 19% overheal. And then you just keep on going. You just kind of go down the list of the different heals that the person's doing. I can take a look at like his tier bonus, his Armor of Faith that he was getting from his tier bonus. And you can see that the average absorption from that proc that Armor of Faith was 282. I think if you read the tooltip on it, it says something like up to 500.
Supposed to be 500, yeah.
Yeah, you're not getting 500. You're getting 282 out of it. So, and it only procced for you 3 times over the course of the fight.
Out of 17 cast, yeah.
Does it only proc off of greater heal?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So then you can do the math on, 3 out of 17 and figure that percentage
Not that
uptime. If I click on it, yeah. So you can see the uptime, total uptime of Armor of Faith, 8%, 2%, 2%. And who was it on? Let me
Is that only
refresh.
rank 1 great heal?
Yes.
Interesting.
Should be able to look at the left, I think, on the actual ability. You can see what rank it is. Like on the icon. Yeah.
Oh, right here, yeah. So rank 1 on that. And then if I want to know who is Radgin healing, I just hover over it and you get a little at a glance thing here. But the box is not going to show you everything, all the people. It only shows you like the top 5. So if I really want to drill down into it, I can click it and I can see all of the people that he targeted with Flash Heal. So it shows right here, Flash Heal, and then who did he target? So he's targeting himself, other healer, people that are life tapping, other healers, and then the tank, 2 tanks with Flash Heal. And then who's he hitting the most with? Greater Heal, I can click on it. It shows he's hitting these people with it. Who's he prayer healing? All that kind of stuff. Who's he throwing Power Word Shields on? Himself and the tank. So that's how I drill down on the heals. Doza, big difference. 1 heal, real busy there. So I click on it. And he's like, all right, what did he do? He threw 82 heals onto Muteki. What was his crit? What was his average? So all this information.
Can we look at Saffron?
Wait, click on Calamity for a second.
Sure.
I just want to see what she's, since I haven't thinking. Okay, so she's using a few holy lights in there too. Okay, and she's getting how many casts did I get off? Did you
Okay,
say?
so that what you're trying to figure out right now is it walks me into the very next thing I wanted to show you guys. So I'll do that right now. So it's how to compare 2 people.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to compare 2 people, you just click compare up here. And very simply, you hit compare, select 1 player. So we're going to do Doza and then Calamity, right? So we're going to pick Doza and Calamity. And then hit compare. That's it. And now I've got 2 people compared. I'm going to go to healing. I still have Thaddeus selected.
Okay.
And here we go, back side by side comparison. So Flashlight, you did 140, Doza. And then over here, Calamity did 125.
Damn, so I
But
did more
look at
casts. Yeah,
But look
She
at her
crit.
HPS.
Yeah,
she
look
has
at the
less
crit.
overhealing too.
30% crit versus 15.
Look at the targets healed.
So if you want to know targets,
okay.
Flash of Light, Doza, you were hitting for the most part Muteki and Stork, but mostly Muteki.
Okay.
She was doing a lot of the melee, hitting mostly all the melee. So if I drill down a little bit more on hers, this is your targets.
Okay. So would that be safe to say that she's assigned raid healing then, right? Or is that, you know
Maybe
what I
not
mean?
a sign, but that's what they're doing.
I don't even know if you guys are assigned on that.
Sometimes we
Yeah.
have assignments, and not everyone follows those assignments perfectly.
Correct.
Okay.
She even healed a pet. A couple pets.
Parson, bro.
I think she's the only one that actually heals the pets. That was brought up once.
That's
Oh,
trick.
Doza healed
No,
Phono down here.
I did.
When y'all are pair
Yeah.
healing, my pet gets healed. But
Well, these are direct heals from
Damn,
Paladin.
dude.
Zeal Gato up there.
I
We need to
must
see
be
it in
doing
Hunter for
target to
every
target.
time.
Then I must have got one off then. But so
I mean,
my big difference is, so I got off more cast, but she has twice as much crit as I did. So hers was
yeah, the crit is crazy.
Okay. average
Right.
hit.
Overheal.
Yep,
I
30%
did
crit
overheal.
from her, 16% from you is going to be a big difference, of course. And
Again, I was doing target to target with that though. So okay,
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Overhealing as well, right?
Yep.
She was targeting her heals more, so they didn't overheal as much.
okay, and so if we go, let's do another
was that
comparison.
this week?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was this past Wednesday.
I don't think it was Calamity playing, but
No,
Just
it
the
was
Hunt.
No, it wasn't. Yeah,
Dude.
that is correct. All right, so we'll go back.
I didn't know that though. That like the crit, I was like, God damn, dude. I feel like I'm
Do me.
spamming. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All
There we
right, so
go.
comparing Gerbil and Raggan. Raggan's on the left, Gerbil's on the right.
You fucking
This is
dude.
let's go to Thaddeus. Thaddeus. There's plenty of damage on Thaddeus. There we go. So different play styles clearly chosen. You know, you can see Gerbil favoring the greater heal rank 1, Raggan favoring rank 7 flash heal on this fight. So that is again back to context, understanding, you know, maybe different assignments, maybe different play styles. So, you know, Raggan was focused mostly on your healing yourself, which is very common for a lot of healers. Healing Raggan, you healed yourself, you healed Exotic, you healed Kata, Doza, Muteki were your top 5. You, on the other hand, Gerbil, were healing 2 Warlocks. You're just raid healing, basically. That's what I'm
Yes.
seeing here. And, you know, you guys are obviously dipping into some life tap goodness there, hitting the Warlocks. So, you know, you can see number of casts though, flash healing, prayer healing, 4 versus 2, and it's not really a big fight for prayer healing the way it's set up. So it's not a great comparison because you guys had totally different sort of like plans. Like
Can
you
we look
guys were
at
healing for
Patchwork?
your people. Yeah.
Petrick's always kind of a healing shit show too, because you either get assigned to the tank that's taking all the damage, or you don't.
So Raggan was on Stork, and you were on Muteki.
And so Raggan heals a lot more.
Yeah, look at the overheal. I would imagine you'd see a large difference there.
Got off a lot more cast though too.
yeah, you're both in rank 1s, but yeah, Gerbil, you did 44, and Raggan got 53 off. And his average cast was 200 higher.
Yeah, I was
200 down.
I was PI spec last week too, so my
Yeah,
heals.
I got a lot more heals off too. I think just in general, I did more heals, more casts.
Oh, regular heals, yeah. Rank 4s and rank 1s.
Yeah, I just spam greater heal rank 1, and then if it was gonna be all overheal, I just cancel it in like the last 0.3 seconds or whatever.
And you were throwing some renews out on the locks that were life tapping.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorite things to be able to do in here is to do direct comparisons like that. Helps a lot. I do it, with the rogues, and you can do it with the warriors, or even with the tanking. So that's a good example, actually. Like if I choose, yeah, let's do Tank Dave. Can I Tank Dave, and can I add Gonzaga? Damn it! Just go back to compare. So we do Tank Dave versus Gonzaga.
You got super.
Well, it's just they're so different.
One column
I
over to your left on the bottom.
There we go. Compare. Oh, I have Supa selected. My bad. Tank Dave. Compare. Okay, and then we go to casts. So casts is a very useful tab that I look at often, because it's one thing to look at damage done and healing done. It's another to just look at just a nice view of casting. So here I can just see, like, okay, Tank Dave did 56 heroic strikes compared on Patchwork to 49. So it's pretty close. Bloodthirst, though, 34 versus 23.
Different.
So Revenge, 27. I don't see any revenges here. So it seems like Gonzaga may have been DPSing on this as opposed to tanking. So we could swap it out for Miteki. That'll be a better example. Miteki versus Tank Dave. And then we compare the casts. There we go. All right, here we go. Miteki and Tank Dave. 100 heroic strikes to 56 from Miteki. 61 sunders. He's not doing much sundering, which is good. Shield blocks 35, 34, so that's good. That should be similar. Revenge 32 to 27. And you guys got to remember, Tank Dave is purposely trying to be number 2. He doesn't want to take over threat from Miteki because he's trying to eat the hatefuls while Miteki's eating all the melees. So yeah, it's good to just do these kind of comparisons. You can see the shield wall, gift of life. They both use their life-giving gems, their shield wall. So that's how I'll compare stuff on the tank stuff. And then I think the last thing I want to go over was replays. Before I get into like going over the replay though, like, is there any questions about any aspect of Warcraft logs that you guys are wondering about so far? How to
Bro,
check anything?
all I ever do is click on the rankings button back there on that last page you were on and see if it's purple.
Is it
How do
ever
you,
purple?
No, I haven't played the game in 3 months. My gear's a little behind purple status.
I got a quick question, Cawb.
Oh, go ahead, Doza.
How do you check your own personal, like, if you want to do comparisons from like week
Look
in and
'em
week
up.
out? I don't know.
Does it say that again? How do you do your comparison?
Like, I want to see like my average parses. I want to see like how I did, like, just on my own.
Oh yeah.
Personal.
So if you want to do that, you just anywhere, no matter where you are in Warcraft logs, just hit the search button up here, and then type your name, and you'll see your name right here.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of fucking dozes.
Oh yeah, there's also a lot of rocket surgeries in, like, I think, what's it, live? How many are there? Yeah, there's 3 rocket surgeries just in live, and then there's 2 more in classic. But anyway, yeah, Doza. Click Doza. So this is how you do. This is a really good question that you asked. So if you want to compare how you're doing, overall and everything. So here you're looking at healing for all bosses.
Okay.
Of Paladin, phase 6, or you can do phase 6 no world buffs or whatever. And then you just scroll down and you can see a high level overview of what was your best parse on Patchwork, or your highest HPS, how many times have you killed each one of these bosses? You've killed Patchwork 9 times. What was your fastest time?
You can see this in the live logs too. The DPS look at the live log version of this to see what they got right after the fight ends, always.
And so you can go click on Patchwork, and then right here, it'll show you every one of your kills and how you did. And so clearly you're getting better
I
as
think I'm
time
getting worse
progresses.
too because I think the
Well,
Oh,
the
first one
best
really
was in
did. Yeah.
December, so I don't know about that, dude.
Let's
Yeah.
see. Hold on, let's go here. I had to flip around.
Yeah.
So
Getting
the
worse, honestly.
but you have to keep in mind that for healers, as the
You may
raid
be
gets
just completely
as
overhealing for that fight.
as the raid gets better and people don't take unnecessary damage, the healing parses should get worse over time. There's less to heal.
Also,
Who's
still,
bringing us healers?
our key isn't our kill time a factor too, and or stuff like that. Like,
It does, yeah, absolutely.
so I mean, they're gonna, yeah.
What about that guy?
So make a macro to heal my pet.
You got
But-
it, Nut.
Yeah, I mean, if you click on, like, you see historical 96 or whatever, and then you click on it and you go to the healing, you can see you're at 96 right there, and you had a 99 for your item level.
Mm-hmm.
And if you click on the 22 back in March 10th, but you look at it, it shows 50 and 59.
Okay.
So it really wasn't as bad as you're thinking on that. So yeah, that's how you kind of take a look at that, and you can do, null world buffs or whatever as well.
I mean, you can look up like Blackwing Layer Phase 5 and show it to you.
Yep.
Sorry
Yeah.
if I got here late. What does the item level mean? I don't understand what that means.
So when you look at the right here, the parse column versus the item level column, the parse column is showing for all healing paladins, regardless of what their gear is. So there's 83,000 logs for this fight from that overall. And so you're in the 96th percentile for all healing parses from the paladins there. But if you hover over here, then all of a sudden you look at the number of parses drops from, what was it, 83,000 all the way down to 2,848. So it's saying that there's only 2,848 parses that are of the item level that are similar to your item level. So his item level is 69, so that puts him in the 68 to 70 bracket. And in that bracket, how do you compare? Well, you compare very well. You're at 99 percentile.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I didn't know that either.
Is there a way to compare that like to somebody else, the same screen that you're looking at?
You can at the fight level, I think.
I'll say also, Doza, that when you first joined and I mentioned to you not to look at your parses because I wouldn't be looking at them, I was going to be looking more at your item level parses. That is what I meant by an item level parse, because it was going to be your parse based on the gear that you had equipped for the encounter.
Gotcha. That makes sense now.
So put on some greens and you'll parse even higher.
Let's fucking do it.
Don't tell Radgan that.
Do you look at the fight rankings, Cawb? Like for an individual log?
Yeah, so like you're talking about if we go to like what we were looking at earlier with rocket surgery logs. Yeah, so you can go to the calendar again, go into our log, and then go to whatever.
Mass rankings 10. Right next to all kills.
Oh, this? Oh, you're talking about that. Yeah. It doesn't give great context, so I don't spend too much time looking at this, but yeah, you can look at a high level overview. You can, sort it by whatever you want to sort it by. So, you can look at, this was just for this one night, right? Where we had no world buffs. So you can look at the healing, average, what were you guys on Patchwork, and it's just kind of a high level overview of parses. But I'm not a huge fan of this because of the fact that different people get assigned different things on different nights, and it's not great. in my opinion. But I do like if you look at
What about that historical tab? What does it do?
I think it changed it. I think it's the same. Yeah, it's
Oh,
the
okay.
same. Let's go back to rocket surgery as a whole.
Oh, I wonder-
Rankings.
Yeah, this is the page. The page
You
he was
look-
just looking at
you
is the one that all the DPS obsessively refresh.
You're looking for Epeen. Yeah, this is where all the fucking DPS zugzugs go. So you're looking at, okay, let's look at my guild, and I want to look at my rankings, and I want to say, okay, phase 6, how am I doing as a whole historically in phase 6 against my other guildies? Okay, so you can look at like today, and you go to like damage, or there's boss damage, or overall
Joel
damage.
guy.
And then you look at what is the average. You can sort by average. So, who's at the top average, Super Mage. So again, it lacks context. Super Mage showed up and threw down an 84 on one boss for us. So all of a sudden he's like averaging 85 or whatever. He's at the top. So it doesn't have the best context in the world.
What about healing?
If you go to healing, yeah.
Come on.
Epeen
come
engage.
On, come on.
Epeen
Calamity.
engage.
Calamity. No, seriously, man, this is the
I
stuff
broke it.
that all the DPS obsessively refresh.
I'm about to
Welcome.
find something else. God damn it.
I was
Calamity.
right.
Some bullshit.
Yeah, so Ragan's gotten
Ginga.
a 99 there on Patchwork. Ragan, you've gotten a 99 on Maxna, and that's it. Those are your only two 99s.
So rookie numbers.
Dang, dude, it sucks because I don't heal on glute, dude. So mine would be, I feel like, higher.
Getting
How
beat by
hard they
people
do
that
it.
aren't even here.
Sad.
Yep.
Who's that Ginga guy?
Get him out of here.
Real
This
person.
guy out of here.
Get him out of here.
That's just your parses and rocket surgery, right, Gingo?
Correct.
No, because he has a KT parse there.
Yeah, it does have
Oh,
KT
yeah,
parse.
I gotcha.
If they're on the member roster on there, like I know Joel is, like I've sent some of you guys invites to the guild roster, which I could probably remove some people, but yeah, it may show people up there, and
Yeah.
Get him
that might
out of
skew it.
here.
Definitely get Ginga out of here.
Get him out of here.
God,
Yeah.
Calamity better watch out. Ragan's gonna want her out next.
Yeah. I think those are from some DZ pugs there. Those don't count.
Don't worry, Ragan, you'll be at the top one day.
One
Just
day.
keep parsing.
One day.
Nose to the grindstone, dude.
Stupid Warcraft logs.
Stupid. You've been teaching us for over an hour. How's this stupid?
It's just, yeah, it's annoying because the infrastructure that hosts Warcraft logs, it just like their servers are not optimized, so it just goes down pretty often.
Sometimes I have to start over
Um,
from scratch because
Yeah,
like
exactly.
bonk.
All right, so let's take a look. Parses, rankings, classes, all bosses. I wanted to show you guys without the world buffs. Healing.
Super.
Yeah, a bunch of 99s without the world buffs.
Look at those 99s. See two of
Nice, actually.
So like, because there's no parses, so
There we
like
go.
it shows that like Knights always had
Oh.
more bosses on KT before,
Look at there.
right?
Say that again, Doza.
So when we went back to the DPS where we weren't without world buffs, there was no parse. So does that mean like there's always like Knight has always had like world buffs for
Yeah, he fucks us
whatever-
every time. Yeah, yeah, the hunters are fucking us.
Dude, that was like the only time I've ever got to keep my buffs after we wiped. And the only reason I did it because people fucked it up in the past. I was like, no,
Kinga and AQ. What?
I,
I
want
mean,
to do.
it's not just the hunters. I mean, when we invite, like last Thursday, we invited Kinder for the last couple bosses, and he rolled in with full world buff. So it's hard to have a fully unbuffed raid all the way through.
Rough because I died on patchwork and they didn't. For the rest of the night, I just got screwed.
So clearly, what we're seeing here is when things go badly and we all lose our world buffs, Raggan really shines.
Conspiracy.
Get him
It
outta
doesn't
here.
die as fast, so I mean, there's more shit to heal for a longer period of time. It totally makes sense. So, like, that's why healing parses are always going to look amazing on progression kills, but they're going to look shit on farm kills. So,
All right, so we're going to take a look at Saffron replay. So this is how you do the replays, which a lot of people don't seem to know that exist. So we go to
it's super simple,
Saffron.
though.
It's all you do is you go to the fight and you click replay up in the top right here.
This is
That's
the
it.
most amazing feature in this entire database.
Yes,
It's
I
really,
agree.
really,
I
really
That's
nice.
very
really love
cool.
replay.
So the first thing you guys all see this, right? This replay
Yep.
screen.
Yep, yep.
All right. So don't be fooled by the names down here in the bottom right. These do not represent the groups that you were in. I have no idea how they determine what names are here, but this is not at all the groups that were set at all. So don't think that at any point. All right, so you down here in the bottom left-hand corner, there's a little play button. Just hit play. And all of a sudden, everything starts to populate and move around. And you can click right there on the boss, Saffron, and it'll show you Saffron and who is he targeting, what is he using, what ability. He's blizzarding, now he's life draining, now he's cleaving.
You can see what direction he's facing with the cone in front of you.
Yep, the cone. You can zoom in and zoom out. You can move the entire screen around just by clicking, left clicking and dragging. When you do that, it pauses, by the way. All right, now it's going. You can see live what the damage down here is looking like.
You see where the blizzard's at. That's cool.
You can change to healing done. What is the healing? Well, I guess not healing done to Saffron. Healing received from Saffron. That's not really useful either.
You need to click on like Muteki or something like that to.
Yeah.
So if you want to look at that, yeah, you can click on Muteki right here, and he's targeting Saffron.
So
Right
then
now
you
it's
can
air.
see the
Right now it's
receipt.
air phase. So
Right.
everyone is spread out now. Everyone's moving to the ice blocks. So I wonder who's gonna die.
Nobody died the first one.
Perfect. And now you spread. Everyone spreads back out.
Like Supa
This
was the
is
one that-
exactly how I look at like how people are moving, where people are at, if someone in the wrong spot. This is where we pull our screenshots from. And then you can just hover over each person. Air Knight's right there, Oyan, Calamity, Zodic, Raggan's probably up here next to, it's getting cramped by Brandon for some reason.
He stands on me every week. I don't know why. But
Brandon's
he does
literally
really
on
Really
you.
wants to be healed.
Trying to fuck you over.
Well, I mean, if it's not air phase, you can
Dude, he
stand on each other.
decurses me so fast. I want him standing.
It's fine. It works out. He moves
But-
out the way we need to.
What's really nice is you guys can see in the bottom right, look at the health. You can see like, how are we doing? How's the health of the raid? It's going down. And now look at that right there. I'm going to pause it. Let me go back a little. Replay. What I want you guys to see is right there. Okay. You guys see these little life drain icons?
Mm-hmm.
It shows every single player that got cursed. And then you can watch that to see how quick it's getting decursed. Right there. It's all gone. Within 2 seconds, everybody got decursed, which was perfect. And then I can click like Radgan and I can watch what is he doing in real time. He's casting Greater Heal, and who's
Wow.
he targeting?
Pretty
He's
freaking
casting
cool.
Greater Heal. He's on Brandon. Now he's on Belly. Then he's on Voodoo. You can see if he cancels. He's about to heal me. He aborted it. Didn't heal me.
No, it went up.
No, he did. You can see the heal from his tier 2 on you as soon as he healed
Yeah,
you.
see, there's Supa. He dies in the ice blast there.
Oh,
I missed it.
Random die.
Let's go back.
wait.
Let's
I
watch it.
didn't
You
die.
watch.
Supa does.
All right,
Nice.
so it's
It's
air
on deck.
phase. Everybody's moving. Everyone's going. Now, who you could tell right here, this has got to be Supa. Yeah, he's late to the party right here. So we keep going, keep
At that point,
going,
I'm
keep going.
panicking.
You can see Shino is trying to make line of sight. He might.
Yeah, he did.
Fort Monks. Nobody wants
Keep
to hide.
going. Cassidy's
Oh,
already dead. And then, boom, Supa dies. And you can see it right
What
here.
the hell? But what about the mage icon next to him that's still alive? Like, Brandon's alive, but he's not? Like,
We'll see.
I
Let's see.
zoom in more, dude. Zoom in more.
I think it's a delay from when he leaves.
This is Brandon.
What the fuck, dude?
I don't know what
Got
Brandon
cocked.
did.
what the fuck
What
was
did you do, like
that?
lip or something? No.
It's
You can't whip
interesting.
it. It's fucking
Yeah.
Maybe it
boss
bugged out or
damage.
something.
What the fuck, dude?
And you can see where the blizzard was located
So
as
you
well.
can like see how much mana I have and everything.
No,
Maybe-
unfortunately not. I wish. You can Warcraft logs, at least in Classic, does not gather how much mana people have. That's not located in the in the combat log.
Where do
Oh,
you see Innervates at?
That would be back in the if I go to analyze
Yeah,
and I
don't teach him
go
that. Don't
go
teach
to
him that.
cast. So you go to cast, right? And I
Mhm.
just choose. This is a really nice ability. You go to all abilities and just go to the name of whatever you're trying to figure out, like Innervate. All right, who casted Innervate? Winteric casted one, and Storkum cast one. Who did they cast it on? Hover over it. This was Radgan, and this was Air Knight.
What?
okay. Okay.
If you
Ooh,
want to look at the entire night, you go to all kills for all bosses. And now look at Innervate for all kills. You see 3 from Winrick. 2 of them went to Radgan, 1 went to himself, and Stork did 1 to Air Knight. And that was for
See
all
that,
of the
Gerbil?
kills.
mm-hmm.
Yo,
Back
he
to
leveled
the
that druid. That's his innervate.
Can you see
my
how
stance.
many major mana pots you take?
yes. So if you want to
That's
look
one
at
thing I
that,
don't know.
so if you want to look at that, you go again to the all kills, you get rid of the Innervate, and you have to look at what your the cast is for drinking a mana pot is a cast. Drinking any kind of pot is considered a cast.
Okay.
Really everything in the game that you do and any action you take will be covered by cast. So
Emo.
mana pod is referred to as restore mana. So you go to R and you go to where's restore mana?
Down.
Restore mana. That's a mana pot. Click that. You can see how many mana pots people use.
See
Radgan
that,
used
Gerbil?
7 of those. Gerbil used 4, all the way down.
Yeah, Gerbil. See that?
Is that just major mana? That's just, or is it just a mana pot? Period.
I think restore mana is covers any mana pot that's used.
Mm.
It's interesting on mine. It's got them broke down. Like there's like 4 of them. Like 4 different versions of restore mana.
You mean when under cast right here?
Yeah, I've got
Under R?
It's
Yeah.
a replenish mana.
Oh,
Well, you're
yeah.
talking about replenish? This
No,
is
I've got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I got three different versions of it with different spell.
wait. Restore. What, you're talking about replenish? Three different replenish?
I have like 4 replenish and 3 different restore.
Are
Oh,
you looking at the Wednesday log though?
yeah,
Yeah,
because
Cawb's on
I'm
Thursday.
looking at Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah. This is different. Replenish mana is like it might be evocation. Yeah, it's evo or it's the gem, the mana gems that the mages are using. That's what they call it. What other abilities are you wondering about besides Innervate? How many people used?
That's it for me. I gotta go. Thank you, man.
See the power infusion.
What, Reagan?
Power infusion, right here. Air Knight cast it 5 times. 3 on Rhaenyra, 1 on Belly, 1 on Medusa.
What?
Yep.
So,
Yeah, he did.
So
That's a
actually going back to the Innervates, shouldn't they be casting that? I mean, if they're not casting it on themselves, shouldn't they actually be casting it on a healer?
Yes.
So that isn't. So when they call out for Innervate, I mean that's not actually a bad thing because they're
Correct.
It seems like they weren't using it anyway. So
Yeah, they should definitely use Innervate on a priest, which we had a whole conversation. All the together, and they've worked it all out.
Ah, okay.
They've conspired against the druids.
And now you know why I left.
But I mean, honestly, if
So we go to KT.
No regrets, spec, I guess.
So this is the KT fight in a replay. Okay. So you can see the Soul Weaver up over here. You can see KT in the middle.
Ginga. We gotta do some more farming.
Yeah, but now Ginga doesn't even heal, so I mean, who's the real loser here?
That's a good point. Show up to raid.
And so
collect
this
loot.
starts in phase 2, so you can see where everybody is spread out, and the melee, you know, they drop a Shadow Fisher dropped there, so they had to move out. But you can see how tight. You can zoom in and see how tight each melee group is, and this is ideal. But it's also because it's the beginning. There hasn't been any mind controls to fuck it up, so this is perfect positioning. This is what we want to see. But as the fight kind of progresses, I can fast forward here, and you can see where things get crazy. So he's on Muteki, and then I think really soon here Muteki gets mind controlled. Yep. And now it's on Stork.
yeah, that was clustery.
The Stork got it, and he kept it in the right spot, and Muteki did a good job stacking up the group right here. So this is good. All three groups are pretty maintained. Tristan, Voodoo, and Warrior all died to Shadowfisher, I think. But keep going, and then you can kind of see where it gets squirrely. This is where all of a sudden Killhide has aggro. He's chasing Killhide. Now he's chasing Dory. Now he's chasing Onion. Now he's on Tank Dave. But now he's back on Brandon. Now he's on Tank Dave. Now he's on Dadgoth. Now he's running out to Super Mage. He goes and melees Super Mage to death. Now he's finally getting pulled back by Tank Dave.
Should melee be chasing him, or should they just kind of stand still until the take gets?
Yo,
Melee
how's
can
melee gonna parse?
So melee can do what they want to do, but they have to understand that they're going to risk getting all frozen if they move together in a cluster like that. So like when it goes over there like that, all of a sudden the melee all just go chase him, and at any moment it could have gotten really ugly if he targeted one of, like right there, if he targeted like any one of these melee, all three would get hit. One of these, but it's still good that we're separated. You know, we're not all one cluster, which is actually nice.
So if we stand in our spot, we wouldn't be wrong, kind of, until it kind of gets, you know, I don't know.
If you just stood there until he came back.
Oh, I mean, instead of running with all these people and then risking getting.
Yeah, it's certainly the safer play is to stay where you were and wait for the boss to come back to the middle. But what's nice is like even though it's on Tank Dave, the melee still, as you can tell, maintain distance. We have 3 distinct groups. I don't know what you're doing over here, Ray. You're standing next to Stork. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're doing.
Ray.
But yeah, you shouldn't be with the tank. You should have been with these. There you go. See, you adjusted. You're good now.
He wasn't tanking then, and then he turned around. Yeah, I gotcha.
But it's really the only tricky part of the fight is managing the mind control.
So we got the 2 ads up in the right corner there.
Right, exactly. You see these ads, like that's a good point. When these ads come out, that's what these blood symbols are. They are the guardians of Ice Crown. So you can see, let's pay more attention to those as they come out. You'll see what happens.
I have a note there, and that's normally Tank Dave picks those up, but since I didn't have world buffs at this point, I wasn't really in a good threat rotation for KT, so I kind of just instinctively picked them up because I knew that I wasn't next on threat on the boss.
Yeah. So like if I click that one, I can see it's targeting Muteki, and Muteki is targeting Kel'Thuzad. So then we just keep playing here and watch what happens. So far we only have 1 ad here. Keep playing. And we take a look, well, who's this ad targeting? Well, now it's on Muteki, and Muteki is still facing and targeting Kel'Thuzad.
Does it say when it's shackled?
It doesn't show that it has a shackle on it yet, so it's not shackled, but keep going. So now here's another ad that's up. It's targeting Radgin.
watch us play hockey with this thing because I hit it, he shackled, I hit it, he shackled, and I finally left it.
It's on Tank Dave. There's that second ad that's still chasing Miteki, which is good. Now they're both on Miteki.
Yeah,
Now here's a third ad, and you got it taunted immediately. You can see the taunt on it just by looking at that. So now we've got 3 ads right there. KT is on Tank Dave. Miteki has 3 ads on him. The problem where it got messy is that we don't want these ads here in the middle, because then all the cleave that occurs from the melee is going to break any
You'll see me
shackles.
step them out because I was originally trying to like gather them up to keep them off of healers for shackles to go out, which didn't really happen, and then also try to remain to pick up threat on the boss. But I just figured that since Dave was there anyway, I kind of cycled out eventually, but it took some time.
So now Radgan's got aggro again on this one. It ran out and it hit
You'll
him.
see the shackle. You'll see the shackle, and then the break, and the shackle, and the break, and then I think I lose it again based on his healing threat, and then I get it again.
So let's take a look. We got 1, 2, 3. They're all targeting Miteki, which is good, and they're not in melee anymore. So it got handled. I don't know where the other. I don't see the other 2 right now. Other 2 ads. And you can also see that in the middle of the fight, somebody threw a star up on one of the ads, which is really nice to be able to notice. It's pretty cool that you can actually capture that in the log, in the replays.
See, and it makes a beeline for him again, and I have to go pick it up.
Who's got a skull over their head there? Down low. What priest?
That's Gerbil.
Oh.
I don't know why.
That's where Patrick died.
Is it DBM auto markings? Skull on something maybe?
Yeah, I just didn't get healed. It's nothing I did. Didn't get hit by anything extra.
You died because Onion died, I think.
Yeah, we go to the death log on it and take a look. Voodoo died by standing in bad. Gonzaga died by standing in bad. Orient died because he didn't get enough heals from the Frost Blast when he got ice cubed. Tristan died for standing in bad. Monks and Oyan also died because they didn't get enough heals when they were in the ice cube. Supa died because he pulled aggro on KT and came over and one-shot him. And this second death from Oyan, this is the angel, just so you guys understand. It's a 10-second angel, and it shows up twice. It's 2 deaths in the log, but it's really just 1. Zodic died just from Frostbolt. So that was the AoE Frostbolt volley that killed him. Nide, you also died to the AoE Frostbolt, killing you.
Because I didn't get any heals for so long.
So let's take a look at Nide's death. So Nide was... You were full, but this is like way late, 72 seconds. We want to look at just the... You don't want to look too far because this is... You just want to look at it during the death. So like right here, Nide was bandaging himself. And after he got bandaged, for 16 seconds, he didn't get any of these heals. So he took a 3.3k and then a 2.7k. So just
I'm alternating bandages and frost protection potions. I'm like praying I live.
No heals.
You can see both the frost protection potions on that log too. See, frost protection potion there for.
Yeah, one time I mana potted and I regretted it, and I wish I had a frost protection potion instead. I'm just like,
so you went 47 seconds while taking damage without an external heal.
Correct.
They hate me.
I would say, based on this, that might be true.
Almost a whole minute with no heals.
We look at Zodic. He
I'm looking left, I see Zodic, I look right, I see Gilgamesh, and I'm just like, oh my god, are they gonna heal me?
It's like Zodic got a heal from Gerbil, and he was full life 16 seconds before his death. And then he took Frostbolt, which he had immune, so he was bubbled. Zodic, you still in here?
Yeah, that was
Does this sound familiar?
So what happened was I got mind controlled and frostbolted at the same time.
Gotcha.
So it put the blessing of sacrifice on me. As soon as I came out of mind control, okay,
that sucks.
I bubbled and I got myself back up to full health. But when the bubble wore off, the blessing of sacrifice killed me for whatever reason.
It's like looking
I
at
mean,
this,
look
like,
at
damn,
dude, you
dude, look at
taking
all
a
this
lot.
damage.
Damn,
Because
yeah.
you put sacrifice on KT, so everybody was
Right.
just cranking
Everyone
him.
murdered
Oh
Zodic.
my shit! The
Oh,
mind. Oh my
every
god.
single time someone was hitting
Yeah,
him.
you
Holy
sacrificed
shit.
KT and he just torqued you.
I didn't even
So,
think about that because you
so we
blessed
want to
back
look at
him.
that. We
Damn,
can
you
look
That's
at
got dunked.
enemies.
fucking funny.
We can go to
Oh, that's funny
enemies.
as fuck, Zodic. I'm sorry.
Damage
Oh
done.
shit.
Blessing. Here we go. So we go to enemies and we go to. I chose enemies, so it shows KT, right? And then I go to abilities and I click Blessing of Sacrifice. This will show how much damage Blessing of Sacrifice did. He did 7.1k damage of Blessing of Sacrifice damage,
What a way to
all on
die.
Zodic. I hit him for 269 times.
Oh my god, Zodic. That's why it's like the bubble wore off, and I'm like, I don't know how I died. I just kind of, the bubble wore off and I fell over dead. I don't know what happened. Well, now we know.
Should just
So
lay on
then
hands yourself,
these
dog.
are all the other things that happened during the mind control. So like Kinder was auto-shotting Miteki, which, you know, there's nothing you can do about that except for sheeping quickly. I blade flurried Miteki. God damn, I hit you hard. Wow.
Jesus,
All right.
man.
Yeah, I can't. You gotta sheep me.
Almost 7k damage. What
Blessing
the
of
fuck?
Sacrifice, Blood Tap. No, Consecration, Dark Rune. What's a good one to look at? Fire Blast. Somebody fire blasted. Yeah, Mage on Mage crime. What else happened here?
You go back and look at me hitting Air
Frostbolt.
Knight
Oh,
for
no,
like
not
fucking
that.
like a wet noodle.
Somebody sappered somebody else. Yeah, Questioner sappered himself. Okay, well that's normal.
What the fuck?
Mana detonation, melee, mind blast. Radgan mind blasted Doza for 1.3.
Now it all comes out.
I knew it, dude.
That's what you get for winning the hammer, Doza.
Kinder
Both
multi-shotted.
hammers.
Kinder multi-shotted a pet. Fona, I assume, is a pet.
Yeah. I think it's Kazdur's pet.
Bro, Kel'Thuzad with the big brain play, sacrificing himself.
Scorch.
Sonic, that's so fucking funny, dude.
What's really fun is when he PIs himself
Deleted.
and he sacks himself.
Questioner slammed BP.
Aw.
Void Blast, Vault. No, it's not. Oh yeah, Kinder volley, volleyed Air Knight, and yeah, that's it. So that was all the. So for the like, this is actually not bad at all. Like there's I've seen logs where if you don't sheet people quick enough, like it's so much friendly fire damage that's going out.
We just got to make sure we're dispelling KT too.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
that was
that's
a
good
lot
point.
to
You
go
could
through,
dispel
but is there any other questions or anything I didn't go over that you guys that were curious about Warcraft logs, how to utilize it? Anything you guys are wondering about I didn't cover?
For the Saffron fight, it shows Blizzard. Is that the actual radius of the Blizzard, or is it just like an
I'm
icon?
kind of wondering that too, honestly.
Oh, on the
Probably
you're talking about on the replay?
Yeah.
Nah, it's just a little icon.
It's
It's
just
not
an
the
icon?
full.
Oh.
It's not the full size, unfortunately. Yeah, Blizzard is much bigger than that icon is. What's funny about Blizzard though is it looks way bigger if you're looking at it straight on through it. It looks way bigger than it really is. If you hover your camera above your character and look straight down during the fight, you'll notice that Blizzard is actually much smaller than it appears.
Is it a square or a circle for the Saffron Blizzard?
It's a triangle, I believe, actually.
Hmm.
That's why I was kind of reiterating that you guys.
You're talking about the shape?
Yeah.
Of like,
Shape.
oh, it's rectangular.
That's a rectangle?
Yeah, if you look straight down from above, it's a rectangle.
Yeah, you've got to pan your camera because that's why I can like stand right next to it half the time and not get hit because I can actually see where it's ticking at. This week was kind of an exception because I had to shield wall through it because it was like literally going over the top of me. So, but I can't really reposition the boss too much or I'll get parry gibbed. So, most things to shield wall through it if it's a bad blizzard.
Look at Miteki, look at your events and see your opener. So this is how you can see people's opener. I showed Raymond this before. It's like you just pick your character, whatever fight, and click events, and then you can drill down and see what the opener was. So on Saffron, you open with a glancing melee, then a bloodthirst, and a heroic strike, a revenge. So this is really strong, very strong opener. A lot of high threat moves were used and landed. There weren't like a string of parries or dodges early on. Your first parry didn't occur until 11 seconds into the fight, which is really good. Doza.
Oh boy.
Healing.
Yeah, no damage.
You opened up with a ton of overhealing on Muteki, which is standard. He wasn't taking damage, but it's good to overheal. You're doing some overhealing on Muteki, and then you healed yourself, and then Muteki, and then crit healed belly. So this is an easy way to see what did I do, like as the fight progressed. What was I doing?
See, I was healing. You died.
He was casting Flash of Light.
Hey, there might be a divine shield in there somewhere.
Well, no. It was clean, dude.
You didn't have to bubble it all in Seth?
No, you didn't heal Nide one time.
That's hot.
Nah, it was Pez, dude. What are you talking about?
Oh, but he was on Pez, you're right.
Yeah.
Pez. So I click Pez down here, and it'll show me what was the interaction between
3
Doza
times.
and
You're
Pez.
welcome, dude. Even gave you an overheal.
Then we can
Yeah,
look at
I didn't
Pez.
do so great this week
See,
as the previous.
did Pez heal Doza in return? No.
Jerk.
He didn't need it.
Who did Pez heal? Pez opened up with Frostpot. Then he healed Dory and Dadgoth, Questioner.
Dude, I'm just healing
all
everybody around
DPS.
me.
Yeah.
And then Radkin, and if I see non-Darm get low, I'll be like, oh, he's my Dispeller, I gotta heal him.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was concentrating a mage that was in my group since I know they were close to me, so.
I was getting sniped a lot, which is good. Honestly, that's a good sign in my opinion.
All right, I just ended the stream. My throat is hurting. I need to get a drink.